Hi there, Toby here. So one of the things I want to talk about today is becoming the mindful artist of your life. So what am I talking about when I say that? So one of the main observations that I took out of art school, I'm originally a sculptor and artist by trade, is that as well as an artist being someone who creates external objects, sculptures, paintings, and so forth. Fundamentally, all human beings are creating all the time, in the sense that our thoughts, our actions, and our interactions with ourselves and the world are creative. They are sending out effects into the world that are changing things one way or the other. So I started to notice this more and more, and there was an artist called Joseph Beuys. I'm not sure whether you know him, but he was a very kind of important artist for me. He was the guy that said, originally coined the phrase, everyone is an artist, for the same reason that I've just pointed out, that in our daily actions, we are influencing, we are changing, we are affecting things. So what I'm trying to teach in my mindfulness classes, and what I try to embolden and effect for my coaching students, is you can become the generative or the creative force in your life, partly and simply by noticing that you are already a creative being. Things that you're doing, things that you're thinking, things that you are engaging with in the day are fundamentally creative in nature. They're affecting things, they're changing things, and therefore they're creative. So if we can become conscious of that, become conscious of ourselves as a generative force in the world, then we can start to direct that creative energy deliberately in order to effect the results and the changes in our life that we wish, and in order to bring about the effects and changes in our world that we wish to bring about. I sometimes describe this as moving from becoming a lunar being to a solar being. So the moon, is dependent for its light upon the sun. So its light is reflected, its power is not its own in that sense. So for a lot of us, we have a little bit of creative power, but it's being directed and controlled fundamentally by a force that is outside of us. We're not harnessing that force. Our power is not our own. So, we might have some reflected or lunar power by virtue of the position in our company or the fact that we're a teacher in a school. But if we drop that label, drop that position, we don't really have a sense of our own personal creative or embodied creative power. So a lot of people are lunar in nature. So when we try to become the mindful artist in our life, we're trying to become solar in nature. So that really means you're trying to make yourself the source of energy that is generating change and directing that energy in a deliberate and active manner. So you become a force that is actively operating upon the world in a dynamic and empowered way, which, apart from anything else, is rather more fun than being a lunar force, being just kind of relying on other people's energy, forces outside of you. So you become a self-determining entity. That's another word I like a lot. A self-determining entity. You're able to generate your own direction, create your own purpose, create the change that you want to see in your life, what you think might be fun, what you think might be enjoyable, what you think might be of some meaning to yourself and to the people around you. So yeah, it's kind of like that, really. So I just finished this off, I think, with a story just about how this might kind of work. So, back in the day, at a certain point in my business development, and after I'd been divorced, I had to work 3 jobs. So I was doing my daily mindfulness business, I was doing another job, and then I was doing a third job, which was 3 nights a week working in a bar. So I was working 3 nights in a bar. And I was initially thinking, well, I just need the extra, bit of lunch money, so I'll work in the bar and I'll just get through it. But what I started to notice is that being a bar person is really quite fun, because you have 30 or 40 different interactions with people per evening, let's say. Each one of those is just for a few minutes, or even just a minute. So you have an opportunity to create something, create some kind of connection with that person or with that group of people, just for a short period of time, to share warmth, to create a connection, to create some form of meaning. So I kind of, after initially noticing this, I kind of got into it. So I'd be going to work rather than thinking, well, I just got to get through the evening, and hopefully it won't take up too much energy, and I'll have a bit more money, and then I'll go to sleep. I was thinking, well, what can I do with the interactions that I'm having with these people in the evening? And I'd just be looking for ways to build patterns of connection, meaning making, and so forth with people in the bar. So quite often I'd end up talking philosophy, talking art, talking mindfulness with people at the bar. And then I noticed that there were certain people that would turn up in the bar in order to have a chat. So this would make my life a bit funner, and it would make their life a bit funner. And it was also one of the kind of points at which it was suggested to me that I should make some videos so people can see me talking about mindfulness and meditation and so forth. So it kind of generated a whole bunch of good energy, a whole bunch of practice for me in terms of building my communication skills. I noticed that in my everyday work, pitching for training contracts in companies for doing mindfulness training and so forth, I started to get a lot better at talking and pitching and communicating because I'd been a barman. So basically this is me kind of taking the position of being a barman and think, well, what can I do with it? What can I create from it? And so from it, all sorts of patterns of meaning making and good energy start to come from it. It changed the way in which I do business. It created all sorts of opportunities for me to practice talking and communicating with people across a tremendously broad range of different subjects, and obviously lots of different types of people from lots of different types of background and lots of different types of temperament. So for me, that position in the bar became a tremendously creative, generative, enjoyable source of energy and development. So, in large part, this is just because as the mindful artist of my life, you can pretty much put me anywhere and I'll find something useful to do with whatever is presenting to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't, I don't know what's coming at me in my life every day. I am not in total control of that, but I'm really super confident that whatever comes up, I can do something useful with it, because I am the generative force in my life. I'm the solar power, and I can figure something out, some way of developing, turning it to my advantage, some way of finding meaning, some way of creating enjoyment, pleasure, and connection. So this is a small example of what it's like to be the mindful, artist in your life. You take whatever's given you, and then you kind of sculpt it and kind of create something from it, something that is generative, something that is of meaning. And this then gives you tremendous confidence, because again, you may not be in total control of whatever's coming up in your life, but whatever comes up, you're just waiting there as a creative force to operate upon that thing and do something with it. Do something meaningful, do something fun, do something generative, do something solar rather than lunar. All right, so that's a little bit about what I mean by becoming the mindful artist in your life. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much. Thank you for listening.